Welcome to the Cool Tools Show. I'm Mark Frauenfelder, Editor-in-Chief of Cool Tools, a website of tool recommendations written by our readers. You can find us at cool-tools.org. I'm joined by my co-host, Kevin Kelly, founder of Cool Tools. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, it's great to be here.
In each episode of the Cool Tools Show, Kevin and I talk to a guest about some of his or her favorite uncommon and uncommonly good tools they think others should know about. Our guest this week is Janet Varney. Janet is an Emmy-nominated actor, comedian, writer, and producer. You may know her from Stan Against Evil, You're the Worst, Fortune Rookie, or as the voice of Korra on The Legend of Korra. Now you can find her on the hit sci-fi comedy podcast, Voyage to the Stars. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. How about you guys?
We're doing great.
Really well,
We're really glad that you're joining us and can't wait to hear what kind of tools you have for us.
I love the theme of your podcast, guys. It really, anything that is a list scenario where I get to make a list of some of my favorite things always puts me in a good mood. So it's a win-win for me.
I love it. Yeah. It's like a chance to write down things you're grateful for.
Exactly. Exactly.
So first on your list is, well, tell us about it. Papa and Barkley CBD THC Balm.
Okay, well, listen, first of all, this makes me sound like an old crotchety person with lots of aches and pains, and I'm going to go ahead and own that very proudly. I do have a neck injury from some cycling mishaps that I've had in Los Angeles, which is not the most bike-friendly city. And so I am very much one of those people who is, I'm not a person who consumed a lot of cannabis after my late teens. So for me, it's been really cool to see how that industry has kind of changed and been able to grow in California, so that, you know, people like me who are looking for alternative methods of pain management and stuff are able to benefit. And so this particular company is one that I kind of came to after trying a bunch of different sort of healing type of balms that contain cannabis, that contain a very small amount of THC and a very large amount of CBD. And I quickly have become, you know, just such an adopter and such an advocate for people who, you know, may be worried that they're like, oh, I don't want to get high, you know, because that was me. And, you know, I've really been able to get a lot of comfort from this stuff, and it's a small little company, and I just love what they're doing. And so, and it, for me, it is very much a daily tool in that I apply it during the day, kind of all day, as I do all kinds of different activities. So for me, it's a tool that enables me to use all the other tools.
The stuff that you're talking about, is this something you take orally that you swallow, or is it something that you apply on your skin?
So this is just topical. So you don't have to take any you don't take it under the tongue or swallow capsules or smoke it or anything. It's just a wonderful sort of a balm, like, you know, you would put lotion or a massage oil. This is kind of a little bit kind of wax based, I guess you could say. It's like beeswax. And so again, I'm not necessarily the person who's going to advocate for a bunch of holistic stuff that's untested, as much as I would like to be a little more new agey and woo woo. That's not really my bag. So I say this as a person who, you know, was recommended to me by a physician, and they were right. It's great. But yeah, you just put it on the skin. You don't have to take anything.
You put it on the skin, and then it relieves muscle sores primarily. And
exactly.
Okay.
Good for arthritis, good for aches and pains, good for if you have a pulled muscle. It's kind of like putting icy hot, you know, or something like that on, but it doesn't have that same kind of hot, burning, cold feeling.
So, Janet, what I was going to say is just purely coincidentally, I was actually had a doctor's appointment today and talking about some pain management, and I was talking about CBD and, you know, probably get some like pure CBD ointment. And she told me that you actually do need a little bit of THC kind of as like a carrier or something. The CBD doesn't kick in. And so you can take like a kind of a sub-psychoactive dose of THC to make the CBD work, and you won't feel high from it. Is that your experience?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, because I was one of those people who, when I found out that that the CBD activates better when there is a very, very low percentage of THC. I was so resistant to that again because I was like, I just don't want to feel stoned. Like, that's not for me. And, I don't want to have like some sort of reaction or anything like that. And you put it perfectly. It's just enough to get everything to do what it's supposed to do. And there isn't anything psychotropic about it at all.
Cool. And I should just say the packaging is really attractive. It's like little wooden jar lids and stuff on the products that you're talking about, the Papa and Barkley line.
Yeah, I will tell you, I am definitely a person who immediately when I finished my first jar, I washed it out and now I use it for other stuff. You're absolutely right. It's a great little
totally.
container.
Yeah. It has a very comforting aesthetic.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Your next choice is actually one that I had some recent house gets, and they were using it, and I was amazed by it. It's the New York Times crossword app
great.
for the iPad.
Yes, I love it so much. That for me has been, a wonderful, wonderful way for me to sort of flex my brain. Obviously, it's no secret to people that puzzles, while I think some of the research is still inconclusive, no one says that doing puzzles is bad for your brain. And so it's something that I just find so satisfying. For me, I'm a real busy bee. I have a very active brain. And so sometimes for me, what is relaxing for me isn't necessarily relaxing for other people and vice versa. So for me, listening to calming music usually makes me feel more antsy. So I like to have a little something that I'm working on that, keeps my brain occupied. If I'm, for example, on a set, on a TV show, it's nice to have something that's very portable that you can sort of open and close at will and work a little bit at a time. And what was so groundbreaking for me with the crossword puzzle, I didn't grow up doing crossword puzzles, but about 10 years ago, I started doing them. And I've never been a good chess player for the same kind of reasons I just said. I have this sort of antsy brain that has a difficult time looking at 5 moves ahead for anything. And what I love about doing a crossword, you can think you don't know the answer to something, and you can walk away and do something totally different and come back 2 hours later, and suddenly it's as clear as can be. And that was a really exciting lesson for me, this idea that just because you don't have the answer to something right away in your life doesn't mean that you can't get there, and that something else in your life might not help you provide the clarity to another element of your life. So it was kind of a profound, as simple as the crossword puzzle is, for me, it sort of profoundly changed the way I think and the way I reason with myself and the way what my patience is like in my day to day.
Right. So crosswords themselves aren't really new. They've been a long time puzzle. But what was amazing to me was this app for the iPad is that it just transformed the duty, the activity of filling out these crosswords, because it made it much faster, much easier to change your mind, much easier to see what fits and what didn't fit. And then without actually giving you hints, it kind of would let you know kind of when you were getting close. And then, of course, it gave you this amazing endorphin reward at the end when it clangs and goes off and you get your award for finishing it. And it just was the difference between the paper version and this version was like night and day.
Yes, you're absolutely right. That is a huge, huge difference. And you're right. You can tailor it. You can sort of customize the app to be as helpful or as unhelpful as you want, depending on what your level of challenge you want to be. So you can have it tell you if you're on the wrong track. You can sort of have it be checking your work all the way through, or you can they have a pencil or a pen facility the ability where you can say, I'm going to pencil this in. It's a lighter color so that I can remember that this was one I was less sure of as you're going through and filling them out. And you're right. It's just a very neat, very clean way of doing this very old school kind of puzzle. And you're right. Listen, you get very addicted to the little jingle, which goes, nee, 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 nee.
Now,
Yeah.
Janet, do you play those little miniature, like the little mini ones that like take a minute to do?
Yeah, this is where I get snobby. My fiance and I like to do them together. It's kind of a daily activity that we do. We do Monday through Sunday, and we try to do it on the day that the puzzle comes out. And we've gotten so good at them that we find Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays a bit of a snore. And sometimes we go in and do like an old Saturday from 2011, just so that we can flex our obnoxious nerd muscles to each other. And so then that little tiny mini for me, I can't be bothered. I feel like such a jerk saying that. What a jerk thing to say.
I hear. Well, the way my wife has this app, and the way she does it to make it, because she loves crosswords, so she does the whole crossword, and then she has to do the little mini one. Is that she times herself, and she tries to do it like in 30 seconds or less. And so when she's doing it, I like if she's on her phone and I like speak, she's just like no, because she's like doing the mini one, and she does it with a friend who lives in Portland, and they do a screenshot of their time and send it to each other to see if they beat each other in the time. So that's how they keep it competitive.
I like this lady. Very much. I like what I'm hearing.
All right. So your third choice is about it's like a puppy.
Yeah.
A tool for a puppy.
That's right. Yes, we have a very, very smart puppy that we were sort of cajoled into fostering in February of this year when he was just a couple months old. And now he's about a year. And everyone sort of has decided that he's a border collie and terrier mix, which if anyone who knows dogs knows that means he's extraordinarily smart and very energetic. So, and a puppy. So when you put all those things together, you find out very quickly as a dog owner, because I've only ever had dogs that just were more mellow than that or weren't as bright. All due respect to my beautiful husky. This dog Jasper, he just constantly needs stimulation, and he's very food oriented because he was a stray and a rescue. So he always sort of has this anxiety about where his next meal is coming from. So what you find out is that you can put that to everyone's advantage by giving him puzzles. So we kind of segue from one puzzle into another here in our tools conversation, because he wants to gobble every bite up as quickly as possible because, again, he just has that mentality from having been a stray. And so he eats too fast. And then two, he loves, I think I said A and then two. I'm one of those people. Letter A, this. Number two, this. So we have these different things that we use for when we give him his meals. One of them is called a snuffle mat, which is hilarious. And it is this sort of felt kind of blanket thing that has all these little strips on it, and you kind of scatter the kibble all through this little, it has little pouches, little like felt envelopes. It's machine washable. It is a long process just to prepare. So we don't use the snuffle mat that often because it's like 20 minutes later, my dog is ready to eat his food. But the maze bowl, this sort of interactive bowl where he has to eat the food, it really looks like a maze, if you imagine, and then the walls of the maze is where all the kibble goes. So it's this whole process by which he has to turn around in like a full 360 degrees around this bowl and really kind of strategize how he's going to get all of the food. So it slows down his eating, and it's also very stimulating. And then the third thing we have, that's my favorite one. And then the third thing we have is this little Kong toy, which is kind of like I don't know what you call them, but they're like Weeble Wobble. They wobble, but they don't fall down. It's like this big Kong toy that has a hole in it, and you put all of his food in it, and then he has to knock it all around the house to get it to, as it scoots across the floor, has to figure out how to knock it so that the food comes out of it through this little hole, which is wonderful and a lot of fun for him. But we realized it leaves a lot of little puppy nose and mouth slime marks all over the floor when he does successfully get that food out. So that one is his favorite, but it's not my favorite because it's a lot messier.
Well, so the idea of the maze bowl is that does it actually require some intellect to figure out, or is it simply that it slows everything down?
Well, I think it's more so than the snuffle mat that I think is a little bit more like you have to really kind of engage all of your senses to figure out where the kibble is hidden. This one slows them down a little bit more, but I don't know. There's an element to it that seems to have a strategy behind it in terms of like how to get at the food, where it is, and you know, it's not like he has to complete a maze and then the food is at the end. So in that way, you're right. It's definitely not particularly taxing intellectually. But they say that anything like that, where a dog is challenged to work to get the food, is really good for its brain and keeps it busy.
That's cool. And is your dog using his snout or his paw or his tongue to work the food through the maze?
Yeah, he kind of has to push it. He pushes it along. There's areas where it gets a little easier for him to eat it. So I see him pushing along the food with his nose so that he pushes all the food into a little pile, and then he'll eat that. There's with the Kong toy, he has to knock it with his paw to get it to fall over. So that's always fun to see. But yeah, with the maze, he definitely he sort of pushes the food around. He'll get a little pile going, and then he can eat that. And then at one point he got so excited about it that he got to the end and thought maybe there was still food in. So he turned it over, picked it up by the side of the bowl, and was sort of carrying it around, hoping to shake something else loose, even though there was nothing left of the bowl.
So apparently this is a thing, these maze bowls. Have you tried more than one? Is there more than one? I mean, is there a particular form that you found worked better? Is there a particular brand that you would recommend?
Well, this one I looked up online for recommendations, just from sort of pet owners and, you know, just various like organizations that recommend stuff for stimulating a dog's mind and keeping them busy and stuff. And this one was the one that was sort of top rated and top recommended. I think it's called Outward Hound. And they have, and they do have a few different versions. And I will tell you that as much as I would like to say that once I got to that point of wanting to get him one, all bets were off about which one was the best. Beyond that, I really liked the turquoise color. So at the end of the day, I still made an aesthetic decision, much to Jasper's chagrin.
Right. So this is the Outward Hound Fun Feeder Dog Bowl, which has 12,000 reviews.
Whoa.
Wow. I've never seen that many. It's a hit, yeah.
And I didn't know this was a thing until I had this dog. And then like I said, you really find out about all these niche markets that, you know, you wouldn't need to know anything about until suddenly you're faced with the reason to learn.
Right. Slow bowl. I get it now. Okay, a slow bowl. Well, that's really cool. So you have another tool for us for walking in the dark, I guess, or even in the rain, maybe.
Yeah, that one has been, I think I mentioned it when we put the list together. I live in a very hilly area. I know you do too, in Studio City. And so I don't know if you guys have more sidewalks and less blind turns than we do, but goodness, we have a lot.
No sidewalks, no street lights, and very curvy.
So you get it. So the combination for us of having a very, very bright kind of a bike headlight that actually we use because it can clip off of a bike and you can just use it as a handheld light is great to have, because obviously then if someone sees a beam, if someone's turning a corner very quickly, they see that beam of light and they know that there's something there. But once they turn that corner, these reflective jackets, and this one that I recently got, which is just sort of like a nice soft white sweatshirt, has reflective panels on sort of in a vest shape on the front and back. And boy, when a car's headlights even get close to that thing, it blazes. And I like to think that people think that an alien has landed, because it's just like, it's sort of, it doesn't look like a safety patrol vest or sort of what you're used to seeing a utility worker wearing. It is just this sort of very bold, very consistent, bright, solid, you know, blinding light. And I will tell you, boy, as soon as a car's headlight hits that, they invariably they slow down, they proceed with caution, they hug their side of the road. So it really does its job, because it makes me feel like a superhero when my super power is just getting cars to slow down on small streets. But it has served very valuable for me.
That is cool.
Yeah, and I have to say that looking at a picture of this jacket, it looks like a sort of very modern, kind of cool-looking white sweatshirt. But
Yeah.
the fact that it's a safety vest, you would not guess in 1,000. You could
Right?
you could
Yeah.
walk into a Starbucks without feeling like a complete nerd.
Right.
Exactly. They really figured it out.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, there's no way I could convince my wife or two daughters to wear one of those $6 like safety vests that you could get on Amazon. But this, it would totally
Exactly.
go for.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
I mean,
It-
because
it's
I
200
actually do wear the yellow fluorescent vest when I'm on a bicycle.
Yeah,
But this would be a little bit more contemporary and acceptable, I would say.
It's
they make it for
$228. So you're paying for fashion for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's
it is
quite
very
beautiful.
comfortable. Yeah, it breathes really well. It's good for running and all that. But it's definitely a technology and a fabric that I think they haven't figured out how to make it cheap yet, but hopefully it will become more affordable for everybody. For me, it was definitely an investment because, I guess in that case, it's like feeling safe was worth the investment.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, and
So-
and it works around the back too, right? It's not just
Yeah.
all around. It's just not the sleeves. I wonder why they didn't make the whole thing out of it. That's interesting.
Well, it's a heavier fabric, and I don't think it breathes quite as well as a
Oh, okay.
standard wicking fabric. So I think they sort of figured out the best place to put it so that you could still have that breathability
Right,
in the
right,
arm.
right. Okay. And do
So-
they make it only in one color, just the white?
That's all they're doing right now.
Okay.
So Janet, let's talk a little bit about your latest podcast. You've done a lot of different shows and things. I really enjoyed Fortune Rookie, where you play a psychic, like as
I
a kind of a new career, and it's really funny.
I do. Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
It's awesome, and you have a fun cast. I know that Fred Armisen was on one of the episodes from the Portlandia actor and a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, it's really good. But tell us about your latest project, Voyage of the Stars. I know you have kind of a big lineup of other actors on it who are really good. So let's hear a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, what I think has been so fun about that in particular is I've done a lot of podcasting in my time as well, and a lot of improvised podcasting, but I've never worked with such a specific outline for a story. And so what I love about what Ryan Koppel, our show's creator, has done is he's given us a very detailed plot that sort of takes the story along and continues to move the action forward, which, as much as I love improv, sometimes it's hard to hold on to a thread of what a plot is doing if you're busy, hamming it up.
Mhm.
So what's been really fun is this hybrid version where we know the story we're telling, we know the points we need to get to. In that regard, I think the closest thing to it is probably something like Christopher Guest, where the writer has the faith in the actors that they will get out and get through the story so that it's interesting and entertaining and really holds up in terms of plot, but also gives that spontaneity and flexibility of making it feel more like it's happening right in the moment. And so the hardest thing about doing a show like this is being in a room on a microphone with a bunch of hilarious people whose stuff you don't want to ruin by laughing uproariously, because I have a very loud laugh. So it's been it's been an exercise in finding ways to laugh without making any noise, which sometimes makes my face sore. But yeah, it's Felicia Day. It's Colton Dunn, Felicia Day, Steve Berg, Kirsten Vangsness, and just this amazing stable of wonderful guest actors who have come in episode to episode. We have these really fun kind of cliffhanger episodes where we cut it in half so that week by week you have a little a bit of suspense with each guest star and each character that they play, and we've just been so lucky, and it's been so fun because we have a wonderful camaraderie, and I think a great, if I can just pat us on the back a little bit, I will give all of my co-stars the credit for it, but a really great chemistry as the five of us. And then when we have these different energies come in vis-a-vis these guest actors, they bring this whole new energy in. And with improv, that's always really exciting because it's fun to be surprised by people. It's fun to figure out what your rhythm is going to be with a new person, and we record them well enough in advance that once the episodes actually air, we have all forgotten anything that happened in that room, so we can listen to it with fresh ears and are surprised and delighted and a little weirded out that we have this blank where a memory should be, but that's kind of how improv is.
So it's a comedy about science fiction. How many episodes have you released so far, and how many are there going to be in total?
Oh my goodness! Well, we've recorded almost all of season 2. We're very much hoping for a season 3. I'm hopeful and optimistic that will happen. But I think we recorded, my goodness, we got to be in the 30s over the cross of 2 seasons now. But I think we're sort of midway through ish the second season. And yeah, I think this is certainly the way our second season ends leaves lots of room for a third season and more misadventures.
So this is like, is it semi-scripted in that you have a basic plot points that you have to hit and then it's improvised in between those, or how does it work?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, we might get a scene where we have an outline that's several pages. There's a page for every log, because the show is the way the show is sort of packaged and given to the listener is all of these different characters are doing these logs, like the way Captain Kirk does a log, and so you have a science officer log. You have the janitor has his own little pretend podcast where he's logging about his experiences, and so you're getting it from the perspective of these characters, but all the other characters are constantly barging in, and then it's just a scene that's being recorded, is the kind of device that we use. And so if it's, for example, Colton, who plays the captain, if it's one of his logs, we'll see in the outline, okay, this is one of Colton's logs. These are the characters who will be present in the scene. And then this is the character motivation for, here's the kind of a breakdown of what happens in the scene, and here's kind of what each character comes in with. I play a character called Sorry, who is a sort of sarcastic AI, and so I can look at my portion and it will say, sorry, and it will say like, your main motivation in this scene is just to get the captain to let you land on this mysterious planet. And so everything after that is kind of up to me. So however I convince him, whatever I say, as long as it doesn't break the canon of we've established as a story, it's kind of up for grabs. Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. Yeah. Do you have to do multiple takes, or is it like a one-shot thing?
Usually we don't have to do multiple takes of a whole blog. There might be a couple of pickup moments where we'll realize that there's a key piece of information that we didn't include, and so we'll just sort of pick up from somewhere and make sure that we get that little piece back in. I don't envy our editor, Devin Torrey Bryant, who is a phenomenal sound engineer and designer. Yeah,
it sounds like a lot of work to put something together like that. That's a lot of improv in there.
And is the episodes, or is the podcast, do you have like sponsors? Is that how the economics of it work?
Well, we're on Earwolf, which kind of has an attachment to an ad company. So we have it's a nice situation because we don't have to actively go out and find sponsors. The podcast exists and is produced on that network, but then sometimes they'll have somebody who wants us to drop an ad into the feed. So we get to do it with or without an ad, in the episode itself, but we do have that support coming from elsewhere, so we don't have to hit the pavement on that one.
Okay, great, cool. Well, I haven't heard any of them. I look forward to listening to it. Sounds like it's a lot of fun. I will say, I think my co-stars are so funny, and I recently was doing an interview with someone who said that he loves it and he's literally never heard another podcast anything like it. So I said, well, that's got to be a good thing, hopefully.
So Alrighty. Cool. That is great. Well, Janet, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us about these tools. They're really good ones. And be safe in those Hills without
Hills
sidewalks.
Back at you. Back at you. Thanks, guys, for having me on. That was a blast.
All right.
Thanks, Janet. Yeah, that was
Thanks
a ton of
again.
fun. I really appreciate it. Hey, everybody. It's Mark from the Cool Tools podcast. I want to thank you for being a listener to Cool Tools. And I also would like to let you know about our Patreon page. If you would like to support the Cool Tools show, as well as our video channel, the website, and all the newsletters that we do, you can go to patreon.com/cooltools. That's just one word, Cool Tools, and pledge any amount you want. You could even pledge $1 a month. Every little bit helps. We have editors, we pay for transcribing costs, we pay our reviewers. Every bit of money that you contribute goes towards supporting the show. I'd like to give a shout out to our supporters of the Cool Tools podcast. This week, I'd like to thank the following Patreon supporters: Bill Schuler, Bob Kay, Brian Pelly, Carl D. Patterson, Chad Cosby, Chris Wieland, Chris Weirstook, Craig Tooker, Dan O'Brien, Dean Putney, Danelle Cunningham, Evan Barker, Graham Medlin, Hans Riesbeck, Helen Hegedus, Jerry Kearns, Jim Lesko, Jim Spofford, John Pollock, John Burdenbaugh, Keith O., Ken Altman, Les Howard, Lauren Bast, Mock Nerd, Malton Make, Mark Goebel, Matt Gromes, Michael Douglas, Michael Jones, and Michael Pecorini. Thanks to all of you for supporting the Cool Tools show. We really appreciate it.